Hello to all you wisdom walkers out there, and welcome for another rendition of Wisdom Walk to Self Mastery and Wisdom Walk Radio here on my YouTube live streaming. We have about another 2 minutes before I do the official start because there is music playing over my Blog Talk channel right now that right now I can't share on YouTube because I haven't figured out the legalities to using it. It's a beautiful song by Stevie Wonder called Nicolela, and it's from his masterpiece, Songs in the Key of Life. And I believe it's the first song on the second album. You see, I'm old school, LPs. And it's just always been a song that I said, if I ever had an opportunity to need a theme song, this would be my song. And it's, of course, all about love, all about love. So, for those of you who have tuned in, I just want to acknowledge what an incredibly challenging, emotional week this past week has been. And it was a fire week, according to the wisdom I keep. So that's all about transformation, not only for the events that happened worldwide, especially the slaughter of people at worship in a mosque, in two mosques in New Zealand, but also on a personal level. There's been a lot of old wounds opening up, showing out. And of course, all of this is really designed to help us change up our minds and make a commitment to heal that which is not serving us on an individual level, on a familial level, on a community level, on a collective level, on a global level. And so I know for me, it's been a challenging ride. And I'm sure for many, many others, it has been as well. And I'm hoping that you were able to get support that you needed during the week. I was busy despite what I was going through, but I was also busy helping people who called me for support as well, which is amazing that that can even happen. I'm just always amazed when that can happen. And I am really, really grateful for all of it, for all of it. And I got through and came out on the other side with some really powerful awarenesses and realizations. Let go of some pain and anger, and really feel so much more ready for this new week that we're about to step into. So hopefully that's a story, the happy ending for most of you or all of you um, for this past week, especially those of you who were able to really get it about doing your work and getting the support that you needed to do that. So there's a little technical difficulty going on my radio show. They have done a restart of my theme song. This is the third time, so it hasn't completed yet. I'm going to send them a little text and just let them know. So that we can get really, really started here. And hopefully this will take care of it. So, but in the meantime, I'm very excited about what I'm going to be talking about tonight. I'm continuing with my theme of spiritual self-renewal. Self-renewal, both on a spiritual level, on a mental, emotional level, and tonight I'll be talking about it on a physical level. I think that we live in a world where we are more aware of some deeper aspects to our existence, meaning talking about the quantum realm that exists and also about the sacred realm that we are connected ourselves. But wh- what do we do with other two realms and those other two levels? So it seems like it's working now, and I can hear that the song is coming to its conclusion. And so, in just a short minute, I will be able to officially kick off the broadcast and continue with this live stream to get into the heart of this talk of spiritual renewal. And again, to all of you wisdom walkers out there that are watching in, I just want to thank you for continuing to do your work, for continuing to take responsibility for your pain, and for learning and keeping that commitment to learning how to transform it rather than transfer it. I know the courage it takes to do that. And especially in this culture we live in, it's easy to get distracted and go into another direction. But it's so, so important, not just for yourself, but for your children, for your family, for the world, that you continue to do your work. So thank you. Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Walk here on Black Hole Radio, on through Blog Talk Radio, and also here on my live stream of YouTube. And my channel is called The Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. I am your host and guide, Jojopahmaria Nsoroma. March is the first of 2 nature months, and I think in a couple of other videos I talked about 2 fire months because I just love fire, right? But no, it's a nature month and a mineral year that is helping us get clarity, build confidence, and access the courage that we need to move forward in this age of illumination, this great shift in human consciousness and in our living. So this month is full of opportunities to renew ourselves as it holds that transition between the seasons that we call the equinox. It's going to be spring here next week in the northern hemisphere, and it'll be fall or autumn in the southern hemisphere. And there'll be equal day and night on the 20th of March. Also, it's a Christian Lenten season, and that ends with Easter and the celebration of resurrection, which is another form of renewal. So my 4 broadcasts this month are exploring renewal of self, body, mind, and spirit. And tonight I'll be sharing wisdom and insights on physical renewal, renewing our mind, renewing our relationship to our body, not just to make ourselves look and feel good, but to honor our sacred contracts for having the unique physical experience that our body brings in this lifetime. Now, for those of you who may be listening in for the first time, let me give you a brief overview of this program. Wisdom Walk is a personal development resource for your mind, body, and soul. My ministry is any pain that is not transformed will be transferred. So the essential goal of my shows is to support all of you listeners and viewers out there in learning how to recognize and release any pain that may be blocking your fulfillment in life, or what I like to call having your happy endings in life. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, I broadcast live on both Black Hole Radio and YouTube Live, unless I'm on hiatus, which is going to occur next week. But if for some reason you can't access the internet to listen or watch, you may listen to the live radio broadcast and or call into the show at this number. It's area code 563-999-3089. Again, that's 563-999-3089. I also want to point out that the web link that I send out for the radio broadcast provided on my Facebook page Wisdom Walk Radio, or you may get it in a constant contact, which I also now include the YouTube link. It's important to know that that radio link is also an archive link once this broadcast has completed. So if for some reason you can't listen live, you can listen later. And of course, those of you who may access my YouTube channel, you know that these videos will be available to you 24/7, right now, forever, until they do come with something they got to do to stop all that information going up into the cloud. Right? But right now, I'd like you to just take in a deep breath and sit or lay back and join me for an exploration of the inner landscape where you can connect with your soul and discover the true treasure of being human. Now, every week when I begin the show, I like to start off by honoring the ancestors. These are the persons we're beholden to for actually existing. They're the persons who have sacrificed or lived out their lives in such a way that it has informed our culture, our understanding about life, our ability to have courage, confidence, and clarity. And I'm not just talking about the ones who loved us and were so kind to us and gentle with us and fun with us. I'm also talking about those ones who may have harmed us emotionally, physically, sexually. And the reason for that is because our souls grow as a result of both the good and the bad. And the black sheep ancestors, the villain ancestors, can become some of our best spirit guides because there are people who have taken the low road through life, and they can be able to warn you when you are in the process of trying to do that because they know what the consequences are. But tonight, because we are still in what is called International Women's History Month, I want to again keep honoring the women in our lives. And tonight I thought I'd focus on the women in your family who did the first. I want to talk quickly about two of my ancestors, my mom and my aunt. So my aunt, and her name was Alice, but we called her Tiny, Aunt Tiny. She was the first person in the family to go to college and get a college degree. And that was back in 1950. I believe she graduated in 1960. Yeah, somewhere around there, 1960, I think. She graduated Boston University with a degree in English. And that was a big deal for my family. And she also was a demonstration for my family that we could complete college, go to college and complete it and have a degree, that was possible. And that was a really important thing in my family. My mother is even, I think, even more important to me now than maybe she was when I was a kid because I didn't really understand enough about her work. But my mother was among the first Black women in this country to enter corporate America. She began as a teller for what was then called First National City Bank. And because of her great mind and photographic memory, she got put into a management training program and ended up being what they called a vice president level for the bank. And her job was, and she was a manager, and she opened and closed the bank, which means she was responsible for making sure that all monies were accounted for and that the teller's desk drawers, balanced out and that everybody knew everything was, and a whole bunch of other things. She was an operations manager. And, again, she really paved the way for me to learn about management, about being in a corporate environment, how you dress, how you talked, how you dealt with racism, how you dealt with sexism, because she experienced all of that. And so, that's just two examples of people in my family who were women and who were doing these first. So I want you to just take a moment and think about that. Who are the ancestors? And again, they don't have to be blood related. It could be friends of the family. It could also be historical figures. Like, I often think about the children of Little Rock, Arkansas, who were the first Black children to go to that high school. Like, that's a real first, powerful first. But think about that. Who are those ancestors? And say their names out loud. For me, it's Alice and Dolores. My mother's name was Dolores. And I'm just going to say a prayer and call upon them, because that level of courage is still needed in this world, and especially for women. There's still many, many opportunities for being first out there, that we need women from all races, from all countries, to be able to step into, to prove that we are not less as human beings, and that we certainly are not disposable. So here's a prayer. Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you for your blessing, your mercy in our lives, and for yet another opportunity to praise our ancestors. Creator, thank you so much for these female ancestors who were doing the first in our families, who were opening up a way, paving a way, removing a barrier, using their courage, their strength, and their wisdom to demonstrate to themselves, to the family, and the world that women are not disposable, and that women deserve to have opportunities to live a fulfilling life beyond just being a mother and a wife. And so, Creator, we ask and thank you for these ancestors, and we call upon them at this time, in this world, in this way, to come and be guides to all of us, and to both men and women, to be guides to help us continue to break open the ceilings and the restrictions and the barriers to the progress, to the evolution of women on this planet. And we are so grateful, so grateful, so grateful to have these ancestors having lit the way, and having been what they were to us, for us, and with us, so that those of us who are women know that we can get to a fulfilling life, and we can live our dreams and our happy endings. And so, once again, Creator, thank you, thank you, thank you. In the name of all that is holy, I say amen, asheho, sashinga bismillah, and so it is. And thank you, of course, ancestors. Thank you, thank you. So, moving right along, in my kind of banter I did for this live stream, I was talking about the tight energy. I mean, like, that happened this past week, which was a fire week. And that I myself had some stuff I had to get through, and also was helping other people get through their stuff at the same time. And so, for those of you out there listening who've had a tough week, just know you are not alone. Truly, we are in a vice grip to really break through some old belief systems, some old habits, some old fears, some old ideas, some old mental blocks, to the truth of who we are, to our wholeness, to our divine self. And so, of course, if you're going to shift something, you have to first see it. You have to first know that it's there. And so that's what is going on. There is so much astrological stuff. And this month, I mean, right out the box of March 1st, bam. And so there is all of that is helping us understand why the energy and attention is up right now. So I want to first give you some elemental wisdom, but then I'm going to chart back through from the beginning of March and bring you into this coming week where we're having the equinox. So that, again, you just get this kind of quick overview of why, if you're struggling or if it's really hard for you, to understand what's going on. And also, too, that it really is an opportunity to shift some things around, to get to healing. I did have a happy ending in the pain that came up for me this week. It really brought me to a place of enlightenment, had some deep revelation, and also was able to make a commitment about some things I need to change about how and what I'm believing about myself. So it is possible. It is definitely possible to do. So let me start with the elemental wisdom because we're moving out of this fire week on Monday, tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, so if you haven't gotten relief, you're going to get some relief by Tuesday for sure, because we're moving into a mineral week. A mineral week. And mineral is all about remembering purpose and connecting to others in a purposeful way, connecting to the support that you need. Um, Really, really important. So the 19th, and it's the number 9 I'm looking at that tells me we're entering into this mineral week on Tuesday, and it'll go until next Monday, the 25th. So here's the opportunity for this week. It is about connecting with the souls of others. Unity consciousness is what makes us human. Communicate at a deeper level. We have the ability for compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and fourth and higher dimensional relationships. A huge part of living on purpose is to be willing to transcend the shallow surface of what people present to you. See into their hearts and connect with their essence. In this way, you must be deep and simple with your own self and connected to your own soul. This is what the Age of Illumination is all about. Use the healing energy of mineral, which are stones, crystals, bones, and shells, to illuminate your higher self and that of others. And someone just asked me about what's a good stone to use, especially if you've been taking on other people's pain. And, also you just want to call in more healing energy. And I highly recommend chlorite. It's spelled Chlorite. It is kind of a bluish green stone, more blue than green, kind of aqua. And it's not translucent, it is opaque. And you can definitely find it online, but you can find it if you get to a rock shop, they certainly would have it. It's a common one, not too hard to find. But I used to use one when I was going through a huge transition, and it really, really, really helps. So I highly recommend chlorite. Pink quartz is also another wonderful one to use. Just to bring in that loving energy, to surround yourself in that vibration and to raise up that vibration in you. So those two I highly recommend for this time that we're in. Now, here are the distractions that can show up, because that's what happens when we get an opportunity, right? We're going to get the opposite side. So this is what you want to look out for so that you don't fall into resisting this energy that's coming through to help you connect to the souls of others. So, feeling sorry for people and taking on their pain. Be very, very, very wary of that and aware of that. Anytime you're feeling sorry for somebody else, it's you feeling sorry for yourself. We all have that in us. It comes from our core wound as children. When something happened to you, you were left with this belief that there's something wrong with me, poor me. I call it the poor me syndrome. It gets covered over, but it definitely is in operation if you are feeling sorry for people. When you feel sorry for someone, you're shutting down your belief that they can do better or be better than what they are. And people will get resentful if they feel that that's always how you're approaching them. So let that go. Instead of feeling sorry for someone, validate that they have within them the ability to shift, to grow, to become what they want, but it's their choice. It's their choice. False obligations because you forget you are worthy. I know that one very well. Be wary of that. Do not take on things you're not supposed to take on. And we have to accept that in life, that, there may be things that you could do years ago that now you can't do anymore. Or there may be something that you have the ability to do, but it ain't your call. It's just not for you to do. So be careful of those false obligations, because that's not connecting to somebody's soul. That's you trying to be a rescuer, or trying to be liked and loved. It's all codependent. So stay away from that. Victim consciousness, of course, feeling like somebody or something is out to get you. that you have no choice in the matter. You want to move out of that. If you have a victimizing experience, it's come to help you grow into your personal sovereignty. It's not meant to keep you feeling like the world is out to get you. Anxiety and impatience, again, two other conditions that really can throw us under the bus and keep us from connecting with who it is that we really need to connect with. A good anecdote for anxiety is gratitude. Gratitude, doing your gratitude practice will really help. And gratitude also will slow you down. It'll help you access your patience, because when you just stop and say, what am I grateful for? It gives you a pause. It gives you a pause. And that's how you need to think about patience. Patience is a pause. It's not a stop. It's just a pause so that you can allow what needs to show up, what needs to happen to do that easily and effortlessly. And then last but not least, stay away from gossip, judgments, and blaming. Big, huge barriers to connecting to people's souls. There is no one alive on this planet that hasn't done or won't do something that is inappropriate or not nice or unkind. And that's because we're human. Now, it may not be your intention to do it, even, but we're human. We make mistakes. So, he who is without sin, cast the first stone. That's what Jesus said. I love that line. But basically, what it's saying is, we don't need to judge people. We need to pray for them, especially when they're being crazy, like what's happening on a political scene. You pray for people, but you don't need to judge them. Just focus on you and connecting to people's souls. That's what you need to be doing. That's the better use of your time and energy. So Tuesday, the 26th, we enter into a water week, which is nice after you have fire. Then you go into mineral, which is this remembering a purpose, connecting to souls. And then you have water, where you're going to be able to release some more stuff. You're going to get to some more peacemaking. So this is the good news. Over these next 2 weeks, we really do have an opportunity, after all the tumultuous energy since the beginning of March, to really kind of, that March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. We're really ready to get to the lambing. Yeah, the lambing part of March. It's coming. I won't be around to tell you about the water. But again, that's why I'm just giving this message about the fact that it is a time for peacemaking and releasing. Now, let me jump into the astrological stuff. Lots of it. So I'm going to do a review and then give you what's going on for this week. But again, like I said, right out of the box, March started off with Venus entering Aquarius. And basically what that meant is a burden of resentment would be lifted from your heart. So in order for something to be lifted, you first got to feel it, right? So it's like all of this resentment stuff is like, showed up. And what was attached to that, why you were in resentment, right? You got to feel all that. So right out of the box, March was like, oh my God, pain showing up. On the 5th, Mercury went retrograde, and Mercury retrogrades are always challenging times because it is a pause. It's a big pause. And we're told, don't sign a big contract, don't start up a new business, don't start a new venture, don't move into a new apartment, anything where you've got to make a big commitment. It's like, hold off and wait, because during this time of this Mercury retrograde, something could shift. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you've acted too soon. It really is saying, hold up. Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is a big communicator, will mess with our communication systems and applications and devices. So, computer may not be working, like me tonight with the show, right? The entrance music going on like 3 times, starting and stopping 3 times before I could go. It was just like, you got to wait, Jojopah, you got to have a pause here, And so to be able to just accept that, but it's challenging. It's challenging. But this Mercury retrograde had even a little more challenge to it because of the aspect of Neptune, and also that it's happening in the month of Pisces, the time of Pisces. And so the message from this astrologer, Astro Butterfly, that I really like because it really is so right on. She said that there was a chapter of our lives that we thought had closed, but this retrograde opened it back up for us to take a closer look at. We may not like this. I know I didn't, but Mercury retrograde helps us to see things from a different perspective. It says that Mercury in that aspect of Neptune would deconstruct our present reality, check, to show us a different perspective. You can have an epiphany, which I did, and finally understand why something happened the way it happened. And when you find this missing piece of the puzzle, everything falls into place. So the thing here was to stay away from judgment, blame, misconceptions, prejudices, and to keep your mind open. Okay, that's the first 5 days of March, right? And then Mercury retrograde lasts until a couple of weeks. It's like 3 to 4 weeks. So then on the 6th, we had another big astrological event. Uranus moved back into Taurus, where it had gone in 2018. Then it went out, but now it's back for 7 years. And Uranus is the oldest planet. It's like the father of Jupiter, the father of time. His name is Cronus in Roman mythology. And so Uranus is the planet of awakening, and extreme change always goes on when it shows up. Now, in the sign of Taurus, that has to do with things that have to do with the home, have to do with comfort, have to do with relationships. Yeah, you got it. Like bam, 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 bam. So again, that was on the 6th. Now, because we needed a little more, also on the 6th, we had a new moon in Pisces. And new moons are always about new beginnings, but this one was about a fundamental change in your life. Neptune also conjunct with the new moon, talking about that it opens up this uncharted territory in your soul. And the question was, are you ready to dive in? So again, this is like deep work. So you get a retrograde the day before that's about, okay, I'm going to open up some old stuff that you got to deal with. Then you get Uranus into Taurus, which is like, guess what? We got some big change going here. And then you also get on that same day, like, okay, fundamental change, big shift. Now, if you're not conscious of any of this, then it's really going to be a ride. It's going to be a tough ride because you're going to feel victimized. You're going to feel like things ain't working out. Stuff is against me. Why isn't this happening? You can feel really discombobulated. So that's why I share this information, so that you can have an understanding that there's actually cosmic forces that are at work to really bring you to a new place in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, in your body, in your life. So on the 15th of March, the Mercury retrograde lined up with Pisces in such a way that it kicked off Mercury's new cycle, which lasts for about a good 4 months. And this began to bring some of the March lamb energy, because 15th is the Ides of March, it's the middle. This begins to bring some lamb energy. This was about a time to feel confident, optimistic about an outcome, to have a positive mindset, to really know that you can increase your chances for success at whatever it is that you're working on. So again, we get some sweet energy that starts to show up. But remember, it's helping us through this disruptive energy. So it's not like the disruptive energy went away. It's just that there's some support there. Like, it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. It's going to be successful. So now this week on Wednesday, the 20th, we have the sun entering Aries. So we're leaving Pisces and we're moving into Aries. And then we have this equinox. Now, for astrologers, Aries begins the beginning of the astrological year. because it's a time when there's equal day and equal night, and they've just used that. But it's also interesting to note that when we were in an agricultural society on the earth, this would have been the beginning of the new year. Yeah. So the new year was spring. It was when you could plant crops. And Easter comes from a pagan religion where you would honor the return of spring, return of all the light and this and that and the other. So that energy, that is again a renewal energy that is showing up for us coming this week. The spring is here. And of course, we begin to see it indicated in the landscape and in everything that's going on. And again, the sun and the moon are equals in the sky. And you can also interpret that to the sacred masculine and divine feminine, the sun and the moon, being in parity, being equal. This is a wonderful energy based on everything that's going on the planet to really help men and women come into, a place of honor and respect for each other. So there you have that. There you have that. This is all of what's going on. One more little piece for the equinox. Again, another little healing piece, that Chiron, that planet of the wounded healer that I talked about a couple of videos and broadcasts ago. It's conjuncting with this equinox. So what does that mean? That means that we've got an opportunity to restore our wholeness. It means that we are going to again be brought opportunities to go deep into our core wound and to have things be brought to light so that we can heal them and let them go out of our life. That we don't have to stay stuck in an old pattern, in an old situation, an old belief system, that we are going to be moved through. It says, no matter what needs healing in your life in the coming year, you have the chance to finally restore your balance and become whole again. So again, something important to look forward to, that to know that all of this disruption and stuff that's going on is going to bring us to wholeness, where we feel more clarity, more confidence, and we can access our courage more easily for the lives that we are living. Wow. It's a lot. It is a lot. But you know what? Obviously, those of us who are alive on the planet right now, we are up for it. We are up for it. We can do this. We can move through this. I need a drink of water. Okay. So now let me give you a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about tonight, which is I'm going to review the importance of renewal spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and then segue into physical renewal, which goes beyond looking and feeling good, because I want to talk about the quantum and sacred aspects of physical growth and renewal. And then, of course, I'll give you a personal challenge. Here's my quote from the Buddha to accompany this work. Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. Isn't that just sweet? So true, so true. So in the broadcast before last week, the first one for March, I talked about the importance of renewal, and that it wasn't about, and the reason that we need to do it is because we really can't, as human beings, ever say, I'm done, I've made it, because we're here to evolve and to grow. So we're always going to be shifting, we're always going to be changing. Everything can be improved, and people who are musicians or dancers or artists know this, writers. You can always improve something. So it's never really done. It just gets to a point where you accept it as, okay, this is okay for now, but something more can come along. Spiritual renewal, as I talked about it, was a resetting and a recommitment as to why you chose to be on your spiritual journey in the first place. I made reference to Deepak Chopra's work, the Path to God. I'm sorry. How to Know God, because he outlined these 7 levels of God consciousness. And I thought that it provided some great guidance for renewing your spiritual connection. Because the deeper we can go in our understanding and our relationship with our God, then the more we are evolving and growing our spirituality. And I gave you that as a personal challenge to check out that book, identify what stage of God consciousness that you are in right now in your life and what you need to do to move to the next stage. Under mental emotional renewal, I talked about this holy trinity of the mind, body, and spirit. That the father mother piece is about your soul, your divinity within, your supreme authority. That the son daughter is your body, your physicality, what provides the 3-dimensional earthly experience, and that your physical self is born out of the soul. So that's the initial connection between the spirit and the body. And then the Holy Spirit equals your mind and your emotions. And this is that invisible, powerful component of your earthly experience. It provides you with access to your higher dimensions and, of course, to your feeling dimension. I really emphasize that your mental and emotional components of yourself are like Siamese twins. They're joined at the hips, but they got 2 separate heads, but there's still only one body. And basically what that means is you can shut down your mind to negative emotions, but ultimately you'll go crazy because you also shut yourself down to the positive ones at the same time. And that a big part of healing is getting your mind still and out of the way to allow those negative emotions to rise up, be released, transformed into loving thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and ultimately actions. I emphasize that the mind and the emotions must work together in order for you to be mentally and emotionally stable and well. And the personal challenge was to contemplate what negative thoughts and feelings you're dealing with most right now. If you don't know, I said ask an ancestor, spirit guide, or your God directly. And then you were going to declare that you're ready to transform them, to express gratitude. And to help you, I suggested using some meditative YouTubes, especially by the YouTube channel Yellow Brick Cinema. And to do that every day for 15 to 20 minutes. And then to journal and just to really note the difference you see after a week in terms of those negative thoughts and feelings. Really, really works. And so now we're up to the physical renewal. And again, the physicality is so connected to the spiritual and to the emotional mental. You really can't separate these things out. It all really, really works together. So normally when we talk about physical renewal, we're talking about, okay, let me detox. Especially in the spring. It's a great time to detox. I've probably eaten too much from the holidays. And so now I'm ready to kind of get my body back into balance. So I'm going to detox, right? You may say it's time for a new diet after the detox. You may say, I need some different movement, some new movement. I'm going to try Pilates, or I'm going to get a bicycle and start using a bicycle. Some new movement, some new exercise. You also may say, I need a new look. So I'm going to cut my hair, or I'm going to grow my hair. I'm going to do something, or I want a tighter inner core. So I'm going to take on exercises to do that, whatever. It's like the physical. You want to look better. You want to feel better. And that's what we usually think about physical renewal. So I want to add to you 2 more layers to that. First, I want to start with the quantum layer, or the quantum aspect of your physicality. You see, your body communicates emotional blocks. Your body communicates emotional blocks. And thanks to Louise Hay, the founder of Hay House, which is a wonderful publisher that, was a pioneer in publishing metaphysical books and spirituality and self-help books. And Louise created this book called You Can Heal Your Life, based on her own experience of coming through childhood trauma and, really reinventing herself, reinventing her life. And the wonderful thing that Louise did is that she correlated physical ailments, diseases, and out of balances with emotional blocks. And she created in this book, the back of the book is a listing. So, for example, if you say, "Yeah, I've got pain in my leg," or "My leg is really sore all the time," you look up leg pain, and she'll give you what the emotional block piece is. And usually for leg stuff, it's always about not moving forward, that you've been stuck. You've been stuck. The reason this is important is because we get to see how when we work on not just let me do something to help this physical, because it's a physical thing, so you do need some physical response. But also if you work on the emotional piece, it really helps to relieve the physical strain, stress, imbalance more quick than just putting on some Bengay or going to a massage therapist. It's really amazing. I've been using this stuff for years, and I know many people have too. So it's really, really wonderful. I was going to hold up a copy of the book, but maybe that's too much of a commercial. You can easily find it online. It's very, very accessible. It will never go out of print because it's just too valuable to help people who are really serious about growing their consciousness, becoming the best version of themselves. So this is quantum because new science shows us how what is in our minds, what is in our brains and our neural pathways, and that's also the center for feelings as well, because it's all chemical reactions, it's all energetic reactions, and how that can turn into a physical response. A physical response. We know about it, and I think this is what really pushed science from people who have had legs or arms or part of their body amputated. They would still be getting pains even though the leg wasn't there, but it felt like the leg was there. And that alerted neurologists and scientists to the fact that, okay, there's something going on between the brain and these feelings of pain, even though the leg ain't there, like what's going on? That's part of the science for it. But it's so important to know that for every physical problem that you encounter, every disease, there is an emotional imbalance that you can identify and shift. This is along the lines that your body is also a communicator to you. It's trying to help you get back into balance when it's in pain. Okay? And so if you know that there's also this emotional piece that is related and you can work on that, right? Then you're responding to that call for healing, for balance in yourself. There's also another book I like called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. It's got even more listings of ailments and physical imbalances than Louise does. And again, it's predicated on this fact that any, overwhelming fear or pain that we've experienced and at the time did not get a chance to process, did not get a chance to soothe, it gets buried, that we had to shut down, and it got buried inside of us for whatever reason, that pain will make itself known to us in some way, shape, or form through our emotions and through our physical self. So again, another good tool for thinking about the quantum aspect of your body, so that as you're doing the three-dimensional renewal, what is it that you need to renew at a quantum level. So if you've got some chronic pain, if you've got, a condition that just doesn't seem to go away, or it's something that kind of happens every now and then, or whatever's going on, um, just know that you can say, all right, I want to renew my quantum body. I want to get the emotions and the physical into balance. So I want to find out the message from the physical so I can address that emotional piece. So that would also be very, very beneficial to you with all the other detoxing and new dieting and new exercise that you choose to take on. Now, this third aspect of physical renewal is what I call the sacred contract aspect. We can grow our consciousness to perceive our body as a loving friend and ally who sends us messages to help us stay or return back to being in alignment with our higher purpose in life. Quick example, my hypertension actually got me to what I call my paradise environment, where I was able to complete the writing of my book that I had been thinking about and planning about for over a 10-year period. It was because I had to develop new ways of managing my stress, new ways of feeding myself, new ways of being in a weather environment that was going to be conducive to my keeping my blood pressure in balance. And as a result of that, I was able to do something I've been like hoping to do for over 10 years. So in other words, my physical body's aging process was a gift to me for my purpose in life, for what I needed to get to. Your higher purpose is just so interconnected to your body. And it was my good doctor in Milwaukee, Dr. Fox, who first gave me that insight that my body was part of my sacred purpose, part of my sacred contract. Because especially when it's out of balance, and especially when we start to age, we start to complain about it. We start to feel like, oh, I don't want this body. This ain't good. This ain't my body no more. I know whose body this is, but it ain't mine. And Dr. Fox was able to open my eyes to know, wait a minute, God didn't make a mistake. He gave you this body, this unique body that's going to age in a unique way to you for a reason. Open up to learning what that is. Don't reject the body. Embrace the body. Work with the body. Be a friend to the body. Let it be your ally, because it will get you to your higher purpose. So another example I want to share with you is a story of a man who has this wonderful bookstore in LA called The Last Bookstore. Because as you know, if you're a reader like me, that bookstores are becoming more and more things of the past, more obsolete. I just heard from my family members that Barnes and Nobles on Staten Island closed down. That's huge. I mean, that is really, really huge that a Barnes and Nobles would close down. So as more things are online, that you can access them online, that you can use Kindle, it's almost like, there's no need for a book. But there are people like me who are bibliophiles, and we love having a book that you can hold and pages you can turn, and feeling that paper and reading off of the page. It's an experience like nothing else. Well, this bookstore gives you that, and it is tremendous. It's a magical, magical place. You can Google it online, The Last Bookstore in LA, and it's down in the historic core of LA, in the old part, in this big old building. And it is just a wonderful experience. I mean, and people come, of course, from all over, because there's nothing like it. It's just wonderful. Now, the man who founded this, who created this, when he was a young man, His body was such that he was a great athlete, and he just used his body to do all different kinds of athletics and sports and ride bikes and all this stuff. His body was just wonderful, wonderful to him. Well, he had an accident and he lost the use of his legs. So, of course, he went through a deep depression, a very difficult time, because, again, his body had been, the thing that was his purpose, to be an athlete. Now he can't be an athlete. So what does he do? Well, he had a love of books. He was a bibliophile. And he eventually begins out of his home to start to do dealing in old books and rare books. That business goes so well that a friend says to him, you need a loft, you need a bigger space. So he does. And then he starts running it out of his apartment where people can come and they can actually look at the books. That does so well that then he's like, okay, I got to get a building. And he is the person who owns the last bookstore. There's a lovely video on him that shows how he has a special car that he can just ride up a ramp into. It's a van, get his wheelchair right under the steering wheel, and he drives to work to LA. He comes out, comes down and goes into the store and does what he needs to do. And, his entire life was reinvented as a result of his body's experience. And so, again, that's just one of so many examples of how we can find our true purpose because of what happens with our body, or we can get connected with our purpose because of what can happen with our body. Again, that's Josh Spencer is his name, the last bookstore in LA. And it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And so important to know, that this is what can happen, especially for the times that we live in and the culture we live in, where aging is looked on as a no-no, like, oh my God, don't age, right? Do whatever you have to do, freeze yourself, but don't age, And so we lose out on the purpose of aging, because aging is part of our time framing. And time framing is for us to have meaning and purpose in the time that we are living our lives, that we're not just here to survive. We're here to, make a contribution, to complete something, to give something, to receive something, to learn something, all of that. So your body's unique experience of aging holds the key to what you need to be doing with the remainder of your life. Don't waste time trying to do what you used to be able to do. If you get hypertension like me and your body says, hey, we just can't be in the rat race anymore. We just can't take that. Listen to that, open up to that, because you will get supported and guided to get your body into its right environment for the age you are, for the time frame that you are now stepping into. And then your purpose, your higher purpose, will take over because you will have been obedient. But if you refuse and you're working against it, what's going to happen is you will get sicker. You will get sicker because your body knows, like, here's what's happening in the pancreas. Here's what happened in your lungs. Here's what's happening in your heart. Here's what's happening in your bones. Like, it knows what's going on. And if you're not willing to listen to it, to honor its knowledge and wisdom, then you're not going to really get to your purpose. And what does that mean? That means you're not going to have your happy endings in life. You're going to be unhappy, unfulfilled. So, very important. Your body has a sacred contract. Your body has a quantum aspect. And there's more to renewing your body than just looking good and feeling good. So much more. Okay, you ready for the personal challenge? Here we go. I want you to identify an ailment or a physical discomfort you're dealing with that requires a renewed relationship with your body. Okay. Get Louise Hay's book or borrow it from a friend and go to a bookstore. If there's any left where you are, I'm so sorry, but get access to that book. It's really wonderful. You Can Heal Your Life, it's called. And locate your ailment what you're dealing with, and learn the emotional block associated with it. Then I want you to get still and ask yourself what your discomfort is rooted in emotionally, because it will come from your past. So think about that. What in my past is this rooted in? Next, set your intention to have the block removed, knowing that this is aligned with your higher purpose. Allow whatever support you need to show up easily and effortlessly. Okay? So that's your challenge. I have come to the conclusion of this broadcast and live stream. So I would like to acknowledge the two people who are viewing live. How wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being my audience. I want to shout out to my engineer tonight, who was Miss Maktia, and she is winding down her senior year. She's going to be going to Brown University. I'm so excited for her and so grateful again that she's taking time out of her Sunday to make sure that this broadcast got out without a hitch in the time of Mercury retrograde. And to the entire Black Hole Radio Be Well family, Brother Farr, Sister Yvette, thank you, thank you, thank you for keeping the home fires burning so that I can do this every week. I also want to shout out to my regular listeners, to Miss Sarah, who knows about quantum aspects of your body. She also very much knows about the sacred contract aspect of your body, and she teaches me so much in regards to that. Thank you, Miss Sarah. You are a joy and a blessing in my life. I also want to shout out to all of those who have wisdom walk with me, and to all the men who are wisdom walking with my protege, Floyd, at this time. Oh, how wonderful, how wonderful. And to my family and spiritual kin, my transformational leadership colleagues, my medicine brothers and sisters around the globe, like Asu and Ina, and all of those who are listening in for the first time or viewing for the first time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not be doing this work without your viewership and listenership and support. Now, in 2 weeks, I will continue talking about renewing yourself, body, mind, and spirit with a focus on life renewal. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'll post a radio rebroadcast, which I'll probably do the first one of spiritual renewal. And I'll do a quick message on my YouTube channel for those of you who are following along in YouTube, just to let you know that I won't be broadcasting live next week. Again, don't forget about my Wisdom Walk radio page, the YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. In the box below this video, I will post the personal challenge when I've finished streaming so that you can have it in writing. And I'll also post it on my Wisdom Walk radio page on Facebook. And last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, my loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. Have a remarkable, remarkable equinox experience in this upcoming mineral week as we move into the Lamb part of March and into Aries. And most importantly, please know that you are not disposable. You are divine. Good night now.